Good evening. If, like me, this is your first visit to Ushaw College, you will find it a strange new world. This vast, dignified building, it seems like any ordinary school, but it is obviously more than that. The scholastic gown is replaced by the black robes of the priesthood, the mortarboard by the biretta. For Ushaw College is one path toward the priesthood in the Catholic Church. And I, a non-Catholic, am here because of my visit last year to the Holy Island of Lindisfarne, where I've met Father David Milburn. Good evening, Father.
Good evening.
First, may I pass on through you our thanks to the President for his invitation here this evening. Now, Father, if my memory doesn't serve me too badly, there is a distinct link between Lindisfarne and Ushaw College. St. Cuthbert himself, isn't it?
Yes, that's right. You see, the previous program dealt with St. Cuthbert and Lindisfarne. St. Cuthbert is the patron saint of the college, and in addition, for instance, the chapel here is called St. Cuthbert's, and as you know already, we have the ring traditionally associated with him.
Yes, I'm looking forward to the privilege of seeing that later this evening. Now, one important question, Father. Of all the boys that come here, do they all come intending to become priests?
Almost all nowadays, yes. We still have a few lay students, as they're called. At one time we had very many of them, but nowadays the demand for priests is so great that we have to make room for them, you see.
So they plays a very important part in the college life.
Yes, an essential part. That is why the boys like to come and pray here privately before the Blessed Sacrament.
And there are many times in the day when the chapel is full?
Oh, yes, indeed. 4 or 5 times during the course of the normal day. And it will be full in a few minutes, too, when the college assembles for benediction.
Well, I shall look forward to joining you then. Thank you, Father. But before benediction, I'd like you to know more about the life here at Ushaw College and how the boys are trained to become priests. I think a good starting point may be to find out how the college came to be situated here in Durham County. And so to find out more about its history, let's turn to an old student of Ushaw who came here as a lay student, but who is perhaps better known to you as a comedy actor and a playwright, Austin Steele.
Good evening. Well, you know, it's almost 20 years since I last saw Ushaw, and you must realize that the place has changed in that time, and yet, looking around, it seems curiously unaltered. For instance, the statue of Our Lady, the seat of wisdom that greets you when you come in through the main door. But now let me show you some of the treasures of Ushaw that haven't changed for centuries. A wonderful silver plate here, which is part of the history of the college, and which has been set out especially for us this evening. At the top here, you see the wonderful coffee pot, the sugar duster, the altar cruets, and finally the president's goblet. All these are first-class examples of 18th century craftsmanship. Well, as I said, they are part of Ushaw's history. And even though the college was first opened in 1808, its beginning must go much further back in time, back to Tudor times in fact, because this was the time when Catholics were persecuted and they fled the country over to the continent. And as a result of this, the English College of Douay was formed. In those days, Douay was part of the Netherlands and not in France. Here, priests were trained to be sent back to England to keep the Catholic faith alive. For 200 years, this continued until the outbreak of the French Revolution. And then the College of Douay was swept away, and the silver, which had been used almost every day, was buried and later retrieved in 1863. And by that time, persecution in England had ceased. Things had become much easier for the Catholics. And so the training of priests once again began in this country. Some Douay students came with their master to Tudhoe in County Durham, and the college was established at Crook Hall. And then, when it was built, at Ushaw itself. But so much for the past. What is Ushaw like today in 1961? Well, to find out, let's talk to 2 boys from the junior part of the school. And first we'll meet Brendan Murray. Hello, Brendan. You're 12, is that right?
Yes, sir.
12. How long have you been at Ushaw, Brendan?
Since last September, sir.
And when did you first decide that you wanted to become a priest?
When I was 7.
And what did you do about it?
I told my mother. Then we went to see a priest, and then I had to sit an entrance exam.
Well, you must have got through the entrance exam or you wouldn't be here, that's right. And did you go to see the bishop?
Yes, we all had to see the bishop. We had to see a doctor, too.
Make sure you're fit.
Yes.
Are you fit?
Yes,
I see. Well, let's meet another boy who's a little older, but still in junior school, and that's John Rolfe from Birkenhead.
That's right, yes.
A Scouser.
That's it, yes.
How long have you been at Ushaw, John?
This is my 4th year now.
And what are you doing at the moment?
At the end of this year, I take my GC at advanced level.
I see. Well, let's trace a life, a day in the life of a student, shall we? Brendan, what time do you get up in the morning?
7:15, sir.
And do you ever sleep in?
No.
Where do you sleep?
In the junior house dormitory, sir.
I see. And you, John?
I sleep in a room, sir. It's a combination of study and bedroom.
I see. You ever sleep in?
No.
What gets you up in the morning?
A bell, sir.
Loud bell?
Very loud, sir.
Well, you can't sleep in, and you?
We get a gong, sir. Very loud gong.
Well, I expect the sound that you like best is the sound of the bell of the refectory. Is that right?
Oh, yes, sir.
I bet you do. Well, thank you very much for helping me, and you better get back to your classes. They'll be wondering what's happened to you. And incidentally, for those of you who don't know, refectory is the Ushaw term for dining hall. Of course, at this time, it is empty. You can see the tables here set ready for the next meal. But if we'd been earlier for the midday meal, this is what we would have seen.
That we had already reached the point of deciding to get rid of him. This affair clinched his fate as far as Tenzing and I were concerned, and he left promptly the next morning. His behavior throughout was in marked contrast with that of the rest, and the grievances which he had.
But, as I said, the refectory is empty now. No one is reading, while from the great chimney breast the portrait of Cardinal Allen, founder of the Dowie College, looks down on these empty tables. No, things haven't changed very much from my time. But let's go over to the classrooms and have a look at some of the boys working, shall we?
And ambulacrum, you say, is the Ushaw word for corridor.
That's right.
Oh, this is Father Bell, by the way, who is prefect of studies. Now, what exactly is a prefect of studies?
Well, it means that I'm in charge of the studies of the boys from the age of 11 till they pass through the 6th form and begin their course of philosophy.
Now, can you give us some idea of the daily routine?
Yes, study begins at 8:30 in the morning and finishes at 7 at night.
7?
Yes, but they've had a long games period in the afternoon and recreation again after 7. But let's look in on part of the 4th form. We call this form grammar.
Stop going on,
Good evening, boys.
Good evening, sir.
May we watch for a moment?
Certainly. We've just been reading the Greek of Thucydides, and now we're going to translate it. Paul, will you translate?
In politics, we make no discrimination, and in our private lives, we are not suspicious. We do not become annoyed with our neighbour if he does what he likes. We do not cast black looks, which, though they do no harm, are unpleasant.
There you have the policy of Pericles, toleration. The aim of Pericles is to train the Athenians to be modern.
Exactly, Greek.
Now, they look like just any ordinary schoolboys, Father.
Yes, they are ordinary boys.
And yet they are going to become priests. Now, what qualities do you try to develop to make them more fitted for their vocation?
Well, a boy coming here has already satisfied the bishop that he has a real desire to serve God in the priesthood. It is essential to a vocation that the wish to be a priest is the boy's own. Here at Ushaw, our duty is to help him to develop the necessary qualities of mind and body and of soul. In regard to the latter, much emphasis is placed on spiritual duties and personal holiness. But we also stress self-discipline and hard work. Down here is a study place, or prep, where much of the hard work is done.
Yes, they all look hard at work. How many times a day are they in here?
3 times a day, after breakfast, before lunch, and now in the evening.
And that chap keeping a watchful eye over them, is he one of the teaching staff?
No, he is one of the senior students, a divine. He has his own work to do, but he supervises the work of the others and sends me a monthly report.
You know, Father, I think we might be giving the people a wrong impression about Ushaw, that there's nothing but hard work and study, but I know that isn't the case because coming up here today I passed several playing fields and even a golf course.
Oh, yes, we go in for games a lot. In fact, there's one game which is peculiar to Ushaw.
I know what you're going to say, cat.
Cat, that's it.
Well, to show you more what the game of cat is, we recorded earlier today these scenes out on the playing fields.
Cat was brought from France towards the end of the 18th century. This seven-a-side game, which rather resembles baseball, is played on a ring. The striking side run around the ring 3 times and then form a cross in the center. This scores them 1 point. If, however, a stroke is caught by the fielding side or the ball is hit out of bounds, then the other side take the stroke and they go in. It is their turn to bat.
And very good he is, too. I must say, I never expected to see billiards in Ushaw College. Come to think of it, there's no reason why there shouldn't be. Tell me, Father Loftus, what do you call this room?
Oh, this is Divine's playroom.
What's that mean?
Well, Divines are the senior students, and playroom is simply the Ushaw term for a common room.
Oh, I see. Now, do I understand correctly that you deal exclusively with the senior students?
Yes, I do. I lecture in moral theology, and I also direct the studies of those from the age of 19 onwards.
So they come to you after they've finished their grammar school education?
Yes, they have a course in philosophy for 2 years, and then they begin their 4-year theology course, during which they're known as divines.
I see. So a boy would be 24 or 5 before he could be ordained as a priest?
Yes, church law requires that he be 24 at least, although during these last 4 years he will have received minor orders, which entitle him to wear the cassock and the collar, as you can see.
Do you think that we might go over and have a word or two with
By
them?
all means.
Thank you. Good evening. May I have a word or two with you?
Yes.
May I have your name?
My name is Michael Banks.
And where do you come from?
I come from Stockton-on-Tees.
And how long have you been at the college?
Oh, I've been here 3 years now.
And what stage of the priesthood are you? Or what stage of the pathway, let's say?
I began my course of theology last September.
I see. So you've still got nearly 4 years to go.
Yes, that's right.
Can you give me some idea of your daily routine?
Oh, we have 2 or 3 formal lectures each day, and individual work, of course, under the direction of the different lecturers.
Very much like any undergraduate schedule.
That's right.
Well, thank you very much, Father. Now, you two, may I have your names?
My name's Alan McKnight, and I come from Newcastle on Tyne.
Oh, good. Geordie.
That's right, yes.
And I'm Harry Stratton. I come from Stockport.
Now, what stage are you two at?
Well, this is our final year, ending in July.
So does that mean that you will both be going out as ordained priests to some parish?
Yes. Well, that's so in my case, but not in Harry's.
How's that?
Oh, as a matter of fact, I'm going on for further studies, and then probably I'll be teaching. So I shan't be coming back. I shan't be going to a parish for quite some time.
Perhaps you'll be staying on here to teach or something. Coming back anyway, sometime later, eh? Take your place, Father Lopez.
Maybe.
Yes, never know. Now, do these boys, do they get sent very far away when they are ordained and leave?
Well, Ushaw trains priests for the 7 northern dioceses, so the work of a new priest will depend on his own bishop. You see, the priesthood is not a career. A student here isn't thinking of his future in terms of a secure position in life with a home and a family of his own.
No, I understand that. A priest never marries, does he?
No, he doesn't marry so that he can put himself completely at his bishop's disposal in the service of others.
Yes, I see. Well, time is pressing, so I think we better go back and join Austin Steele again.
After the chapel, one of the most imposing buildings at Ushaw College is this magnificent library. There are over 40,000 volumes on these shelves, most of which are priceless. And to tell us something about that, I'd like to have a word with the man who looks after the library. That's Father Payne. Good evening, Father.
Good evening.
Father, could you tell me something about the books that form the basis of the library here?
Yes, well, the basic collection is of books which belonged to the English Catholics during the penal days.
Yes.
Some were printed secretly in England, and some were smuggled from abroad.
Yes.
Now, here is one printed abroad in the 16th century.
I see. Well, earlier I said that these books were priceless. Is this true, priceless?
Well, priceless is too general a term.
Yes.
We haven't got a first folio of Shakespeare or Caxton,
no.
But we have some very valuable medieval manuscripts,
yeah?
and 1 or 2 even unique books. May I show you?
Yes, I'd love to see them. Oh, this is wonderful, isn't it?
This is a Spanish Franciscan choir book.
Yes.
You can stand on a stand like this
yes.
in the priory church.
What a beautiful piece of work that is. And on this side we have?
We have a 15th century early printed book, which belonged to one of the monks of Durham. You see the original binding, and there you have the actual signature of the monk.
And that name reads?
Thomas Swalwell. He was one of the last monks of Durham Abbey.
I see. Well, I know another treasure you have in the library here is a letter from Charles I.
Yes. There you have it. At one time, it was supposed to be an authentic, but actually, as you see, it has the king's signature and dated from our court at Oxford in 1644.
They have proved that it's real.
They have, yes.
Father, one of the famous old students of Ushaw is, of course, the poet Francis Thompson. Have you any of his manuscripts or works in the library here?
Well, we have one or two.
Yes.
And here we have one which was given to us by Wilfrid Mennell, his literary executor and patron. Do notice the clear, childlike handwriting.
To the English martyrs.
Yes.
Well, finally, one last question, Father. With all this wonderful library, all these books, do the students use it?
Well, some of the 40,000, I should say, are used. But as you can imagine, it's the seniors, the professors who use it mostly, and the students can with permission under the direction of the professors.
Yes. Well, thank you very much indeed, Father Payne. Well, that sounded to me like the bell for benediction.
Yes, benediction in 5 minutes' time.
All right, well, I think I'll come down to the church with you.
By all means.
Thank you.
As we near the end of our visit, I'd like to thank the person who made it possible, the president of Ushaw College, Monsignor Grant. Thank you very much indeed, Monsignor Grant.
It's been a pleasure.
And I'd like to thank you, too, for showing me St. Cuthbert's ring. Do you think we might show it to the viewers?
Certainly. It's a gold ring with a rather roughly cut sapphire stone.
That three-pronged device, I presume, is for security reasons.
Yes, it's sealed on. The ring was presented to the college in 1858 at the time of our Golden Jubilee.
Is it ever worn?
Yes, it's worn by the bishop of the diocese whenever he ordains priests at Ushaw.
Now, one important question. Do you not feel that a boy coming to this college at the age of 11 is he not too young to make such an important decision about his own future?
Well, he's not too young at that age to have a real desire to become a priest. He comes here to test the source and quality of that desire. Maybe that it vanishes. If so, he leaves. But if it is really deep-rooted, then it is protected and strengthened and nourished by the life at Ushaw.
I see. Ushaw College must have contributed a great deal over its 150 years of history to the church.
Yes, in that time, Ushaw has trained about 2,000 priests. Most of them have worked out of the limelight in the parishes of the north of England. But that has been Ushaw's greatest contribution to the life of the church.
But I believe some of your priests have reached degrees of eminence and distinction in the world.
Oh, yes. There's Cardinal Mary del Val, who was the Secretary of State to Pope Pius X. And then 4 of the 7 Cardinal Archbishops of Westminster since 1850 have been sons of Ushaw, including the present Archbishop, Cardinal William Godfrey.
Really? Now, what of the future, Monsignor? The world is changing all the time. Do you feel that the role of the priest is going to change as well?
Yes, to some extent. The priest will have to adapt himself to changing times. But the essentials of his work cannot change. Teaching the unchanging truths of the Catholic faith and ministering to the spiritual needs of his people, his basic role will never alter.
Mm-hmm. And in the same way, Ushaw College is both changing and unchanged.
Exactly. Our academic courses are fuller and more varied. Modern educational techniques are both used and taught to our future priests. But the process of character formation and spiritual training, they must remain basically the same.
I understand.
Our students are being trained for a life of complete dedication to God in the priesthood. They must then acquire that self-mastery here which is necessary for it. The path to the priesthood is a long and a testing one, but it is readily made by those who really value the prize at the end of the road.
I see. Well, thank you very much indeed, Monsignor, and I mustn't keep you from benediction.
Now, will you come along with me?
Thank you.
Sacramento mirabili passionis tuae memoriam reliquisti, tribuae quesumus idanos corporis et sanguinis tui sacra mysteria venerari, quod redemptionis tuae fructum in nobis iuditer sentiamus, qui vivis et regnas in saecula saeculorum. Blessed be God.